This is a story about sex education. Happened a long time ago. I was about 14 years old. I didn't know a darn thing about sex, not really. I never had a girlfriend, scrawny kid with pimples, not exactly what the girls were looking for. My family's very strict, very puritanical. We went to church all the time, and my parents never discussed sex with me. I can't even really remember seeing them kiss. Um, that's how dumb I was. One time, this was, I think, after sixth grade. A friend of mine, he thought he knew something about sex, and he was trying to explain the darn thing to me. And I listened, for a while, kind of disgusted. And finally, I told him, maybe your parents do that, but my parents would never. And he said, you idiot, there's like 5 kids in your family. And I said, well, okay, but they probably only did it once, and it just kept working. So, guess how many times people reminded me that I had once said that. Hey, Gary, tell them about your parents and how it just kept working. Hilarious. That's how dumb I was. My friend, he lived in a motel. Which was owned and operated by his parents. And as a result, he regularly encountered traveling salesmen, a type of man that I had never encountered in my life. All I knew my dad, I knew the men in the church, and the fathers of my friends, Mr. Clover, the elementary school principal, and none of these men ever taught me a darn thing about sex. But these traveling salesmen, according to my friend, they would have dirty magazines. They would have these magazines with pictures of naked women, and they would leave these magazines in their rooms, in these motel rooms, and my friend would get these magazines, or so he claimed. And I called him a liar. I said, first of all, I just doubted there even were magazines like that. They would be illegal, was my opinion. And so he said, we'll just go look then. So we march up to the motel, and he takes me into the motel lobby. And there's a big magazine rack there, and darned if there's Playboys in there. He pulls out a couple of Playboys, and we march into his living room. Behind the lobby of the motel is the family living room, and his mom's in the kitchen. And, he puts the magazines right out there on the sofa, and we kneeled on the floor. I remember this. We kneeled in front of the dirty magazines. And he said, look at this, boobs, look, more boobs, and look over here, more and more. And I am just freaking out. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. I can't believe that this actually exists. And I'm bright red, I'm thrilled, I'm frightened. And then all of a sudden we're laughing. We're just laughing hysterically. And his mom comes marching out of the kitchen right into the living room and sees us. And I think, oh my God, she's going to kill us. We're looking at dirty magazines. And instead she says, boys, there is nothing funny about the human body. I couldn't believe it. She didn't care if we were looking at these magazines. She thought that was totally normal, boys looking at dirty magazines. She just thought, laughing hysterically at women's breasts is, not to be done in her living room. Well, we had another friend named Ray, and Ray worked there at the motel as a maid, pick up a little money, and he'd help my friend's mom every morning cleaning out the rooms. And they told me the one thing that was kind of interesting. There was a utility closet in the middle of the Motel Riverside, room number 9, and they kept, I don't know, toilet paper and I don't know, boxes full of pop bottles and stuff were in there, soap. But up at the top of that utility closet was a trap door that led into an attic, and this attic ran the whole length of the motel. It was like a narrow crawl space, and you could crawl over the tops of the rooms, like room 9, room 8, room 7. And this one room, and at the top of the ceiling of every room was like a ceiling lamp. And this one room, I think it was room 9, there was like a crack. You could crawl up there in the crawl space in the attic, and you could look down into room 9. You could look through that hole in the ceiling by the lamp, and you could see a big queen-sized bed directly below you. Well, my friends' parents, they went out square dancing every Saturday night, and on those evenings, they'd be gone till like midnight or so. And on those evenings, my friend, their kid, and Ray would take over the motel, and they would check in customers. And their goal was to further their sex education by checking in a young couple into that one room 9. And lots of time, they get all these traveling salesmen, fat guys, old couples, people with kids, stuff like that. But once in a while, they'd get an attractive young couple. And when that happened, they would, if they would rub their nose, they would look at each other and they kind of like rub their nose. And if they did that, that meant, yes, this is the one we're going to put in room number 9. And the couple would disappear into the room and then close the drapes. If they closed the drapes, that was always, Ray said, a really good sign. And my friends would wait about 10 minutes, and then they'd enter that utility closet, and they'd go up through the trap door and climb along the rafters until they got to room 9. Well, they invited me to come see the show. Obviously, I was desperately in need of sex education, and I kept saying no. That is creepy to do something. Peeking at people. I bet you that's a crime. That's probably illegal. But the truth was, I was curious. My friends were actually seeing sex acts. Everybody else we knew was talking about it. They were actually watching sex, and they would tell me what they saw. Every week I would get another report in lurid detail about whatever they had seen over the weekend, except I never could tell, what was truth and what was bullshit, because my friends, they love to get me going. So, could they get me to believe in ridiculous nonsense? And anyway, this went on all summer, and finally one evening I couldn't stand it. My friends' parents were out square dancing. We were watching the desk. This couple comes in, and man, he looks like, I don't know, maybe they're 25, 26 years old, really good looking. He's a big guy, like a football player, ex-football player maybe, and she's really cute. And my man Ray's like rubbing his nose the moment she walks into the lobby, and my other friend, he practically knocks off his glasses. He's rubbing his nose so hard. So we gave him the key to room 9, and we wait like 10 minutes, and we're getting crazy excited. And Ray's our leader, and so we close the office. My friend turns on the no vacancy sign, and I follow Ray first, and then me, and then my other friend, and Ray goes up the ladder, and we go through we're up there in the attic now, and it's dark up there and dusty, and there's cobwebs, and you had to crawl from like rafter to rafter. You had to be really careful, because if you put your hand between the rafters, there's like drywall. That's it. You could just fall right into a room below you if you're not careful. So Ray, he gets to that room 9, and he's looking down the hole, and I'm like really close, and my friend's right behind me, and Ray says they're naked, they're making out on the bed, and I'm like, shh, they're gonna hear, and behind me, my friend's going, I want to see, let me see, So Ray kind of scuttles back from the crack, and look, Gary, look. And my other friend's pushing me forward, and my heart's beating, and I'm sweaty, and I get to the crack, and I look down, and what I saw was a naked woman. I mean, she is stark naked, but the thing is, she's looking up. She's looking at me. She's looking like directly into my eyes, and I think I must have touched a little bit of lint or insulation fluff, and it falls through that crack, and it kind of floats down, and she sees it, and she goes, "There's someone up there. There's someone up there." And she's like pointing up at me, looking directly at me, and I'm like, "Oh my God, we're caught. I'm caught. I'm the police, my parents. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out. I'm backing up, and I'm running, and my friend who's behind me, and I said, she saw everything. She knows we're out there. We gotta, And so my panic, I think, infected him. And he panics, and my other friend Ray is going, shh, that's okay, calm down. And I'm, no, 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 I got to get out again. So my friend, I mean, it's so narrow, I can't get around him. So he has to back up and he has to go down the ladder. And I have to follow him into that little, utility room full of toilet paper and pop and everything. And we get out and we get out in the parking lot, and I think that guy, that guy in room 9, that guy who looks like a big football player, I think he's going to come out of that room. He's going to be enraged. He's going to be like half dressed, probably barefoot, and he's going to beat the shit out of me. But you know what? The door to room 9 did not open, and the drapes were still closed, and no one ran out to kill me. So my friend and I, we went back to the motel office, and I thought Ray would appear any second, but he did not appear. And like a minute goes by, 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes goes by, and my friend says, "Gary, you are an idiot." And finally, 15, 20 minutes later, Ray comes, and he's happy. He's had a great time, and he said that young couple went at it like a couple of randy billy goats for. He said it was one of the best sex shows he ever saw in his life, and my friend was furious at me. One of the best shows ever, and he missed it, and it was all my fault. So I went home. To this day, I sometimes wonder if that wisp of dust, that little curl of insulation, that angry woman, the sound of her screaming at me, did that really happen? Had my imagination created that scene and shown it to me, a full-blown hallucination made out of fear? I guess at the age of 14, I was not ready for that much sex education.